Mic check 1, 2, 3. The other international tournament taking
Tournaments
place,
all day, man.
Copa
I
America.
love it. I love it.
Diego kicked it off with the segue. James Rodriguez, he is putting up a showcase for himself.
Is he though?
Yes.
What?
I saw that nice ass pass he did today.
I saw that nice ass pass, which led to the goal, which gave them the 3 points. No,
Is he doing good? I maybe because I saw a nice ass pass,
That's not
but
nice
is he
ass
doing?
pass.
Cállate, yo.
Anybody can put a nice ass pass. Doesn't mean he's doing phenomenal.
Anybody can do a nice ass pass.
Yeah, I can do it with my hand.
only because he's not doing that for Madrid no more. That's
Yeah,
why.
for
yeah.
real,
Oh,
yo.
man, get outta here.
Yo, Edgar.
Stop. You
Yo,
hate
Edgar.
James as much as I do. So
Yeah,
don't
I don't hate
talk
James.
about it.
I never hated James.
You did.
You
You
hate
always
James?
talk shit about it.
I always like James.
Do you rate James?
I just hate
out
the
of
fan
10.
boys.
Out of 10, what do you give James? What's your rating for James? A 7?
Wait, for Colombia or?
For Colombia, he's like a 9.
As
For
a
Colombia,
club level.
as a club level 7.
7?
I don't know, man. He
He's
kind
not a
of.
starter for any big team.
That's because they screwed him over, honestly.
They have screwed
They
him
just go
over.
him over in Bayern.
Well, he went there on loan, so it's
He
already
didn't
starting
put
off on a
himself
bad
there.
Starting
foot.
off screwed over.
Yeah, he's starting off screwed
I don't
over.
know. I don't think he's a good player. He's not
No,
outstanding player.
I can see the argument of club level, but for international, definitely he
I
shows
told you,
up.
he's a
He shows
9.
up. He
No,
shows
yeah,
up.
international level, unlike
shows up in
other
the show
players,
tonight.
which we'll get into a little bit later. James does show up for international duty. Speaking of him showing up, he showed up today against Qatar,
He did.
which Qatar is surprising me.
They're surprisingly
They
good team.
surprised me,
They're
bro.
well organized.
Yeah.
They
They're
tied
surprised the fuck
3-3 against Paraguay, or 2-2. I'm sorry,
2-2.
against Paraguay
After being 2-0 down.
after being
which is
2-0
important.
down, and today they had
They
some
drove Colombia
opportunities,
to the last like 10 minutes.
and they had opportunities too.
And they had several. Oh yeah, they had several opportunities.
They're a rough squad.
They are.
They're pretty dominant in meaning. Of
Hard knock.
They fight for everything.
Yeah, I mean, their times a little bit dirty, but yeah, I like it though. I
It
like
it also helps that they're not going into hostile territory because some stadiums are empty. So.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point you bring that up because I did want to ask about that. Why the fuck is every game empty?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Is it
Especially
'cause the
being-
Women's World
So-
Cup?
Especially being
so,
in Brazil. Like,
apparently, I was reading. So like the national average of Brazil wages a year is like some $500 or whatever. A ticket to a game was like $129. So
What?
under their standards, that's just expensive.
Wow.
but you're talking about Brazil. That's I understand it's not that close, but you have all these neighboring countries that are participating in the tournament. Why don't you have everyone else taking the trip?
Because U.S. and Mexico didn't go. That's why.
That's an interesting argument, man. An interesting argument.
No, but there has to be. Okay, look at the past Copa America, guys. They've always filled.
They've been.
Chile
they were
was
huge.
packed.
They were huge.
Chile was definitely.
But
packed.
why-
And
why-
Colombia
why-
was before that, right?
Where? Why?
Colombia was packed.
What's different now? Is it because of these other tournaments taking place? I think personally, I think it is.
I don't know. Maybe it's like it's just getting too repetitive. I mean, Brazil's have held 3 tournaments in a row now,
That's true.
so it's like damn, we went to see them in the World Cup. Damn, we went to see not just the soccer team, everybody compete during the Olympics, and now to go again. That's 3 tournaments in a row. That's 3. That's 3 pasajes going to Brazil.
I think in the Colombia
tight.
Qatar match, like the entire first level was empty, and
Yep.
then the second one was like packed. I don't know why.
I don't know.
It was really interesting to see.
The pricing of the tickets must be pretty high.
I want to look that up actually, because they're in good stadiums. They're playing Maracanã.
They're playing in the
Sao
World
Paulo,
Cup
they're
stadiums.
playing
They're
Belo Horizonte.
playing Belo Horizonte.
The World Cup
they're playing
stadiums, yeah.
MJ.
Come on.
Beautiful stadiums too.
But you got VAR. VAR turned around 3 goals for Venezuela.
So can you
Alright,
explain?
So yes, please explain the The first one I understand. The second one I'm still confused.
So what we're referring to right now is the offside goal that Firmino had called against him in the second
The
goal,
second goal.
against Venezuela. That got
Against
called back.
Venezuela.
So Diego.
That's right.
Explain
I was
to
that. I'm not.
Official.
I'm not crediting it to me at all. It's just because there's a lot of
He's
people.
part of the IFAB association.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of people discussing it on Facebook after the game, which is pretty insane because there's a lot of Brazilian fans that were kind of incensed, which arguably I would understand for a VAR call. One thing I do want to point out, side note, the way Copa America and CONMEBOL is handling VAR, I think is the worst handling that I've seen so
Cocky.
far, because they're not showing the replays as the official is reviewing the VAR clips.
They're not.
They're not
I
showing
noticed
it on
that they
TV.
weren't, but I was like,
That
okay.
that was a conscious decision. Because if you look at the Women's World Cup, as soon as VAR comes up, they put the replays on your TV, and that's what they show also on the stadium screens. For Copa America, they don't show anything until after
controversial
until
stuff,
after
yeah,
like the
right.
referee makes the decision, which I can see that maybe they're doing that as like some sort of
Safety
control.
reason or some shit.
So that way, let's say if you show on a big screen and there's like 30,000, 40,000 fans that see a clear trip, and then they all get all riled up or whatever. I don't know.
They do that during like live games. They won't show like controversial replays.
I still think that they should, man. I really do. Cause
So I don't know if that's like a live
fans
stream
are
from
confused.
the stadium.
Nah, man.
But it is
so anyway,
confusing.
back to the goal that was kind of called back. So Everton was on the left wing. He put in the ball. Firmino was the only player that was inside of the 6. There's Venezuelan defenders around him. When he put in the ball at that moment, Firmino was now offside. He has nothing to do with the play yet because the ball hadn't come to him. Everton released the ball. Fariñez, who's the Venezuelan goalie, comes forward. And as the ball goes over him, because he misses, it hits Firmino on the leg. And it deflects, it bounces. At the point the ball goes over Fariñez, he's already past Firmino. There's only one defender left. So as soon as it touches Firmino, it's called offside. The reason why we see that offside never called, or at least rarely called, is because there always has to be 2 players in front of the ball, 2 defending players. The goalie's always going to be in front of his goal no matter what in a game, usually. Those are the offsides that we see all the time.
Yep.
And we think that, it's because he's in front of the defender. No, it's actually because there has to be 2 defensive players behind the ball at all times. Once let's say your back line, your back 4 goes forward, and then you get the attacking player in front of that, the only player left is the goalie, so that's only one of 2. In this case, it happened right in front of the goal, which makes it so tight, and it was actually a really tight call. As soon as Fariñez went forward, at that moment, they look at where the ball is, and it had just bounced off Firmino. And then if you try to count how many players are beyond the line, there's only one defender, one Venezuelan defender. So the goalie actually did his team a favor by coming out and missing the ball.
And fucking up.
and he actually messed it up. And it was a super tight call in Brazil's defense because it was literally like half of Firmino's leg, which was beyond that plane, I guess, the offside plane. But they called it back. And it's kind of... So for me personally, it's kind of frustrating to see because they're being very like sticklers with enforcing the rules, like especially with being off your line when you defend a penalty. They've called several of those back in the Women's World Cup and stuff like this in Copa America. They're being, at least the only thing I want is consistency. Call them if you need to, no matter how close you are.
So then,
but if it happens again, call it the same way.
What's the rule when it comes off a defender? That everything just goes out the window?
Essentially, yeah, because then it's redirecting the ball. It doesn't come from the ball came from his teammate.
Yeah.
If the ball had ricocheted off someone else, and
If the goalie would have touched it,
and redirected the ball, then that's where
that makes it valid.
That makes it valid because the play before that even Firmino wasn't offside, so they can't count it at that point. But because it loops over him, it hits Firmino, and he's already in front of him, that's offside. So you can't really do much about it.
Gotcha.
that we were talking about that before you got here, and my initial thought of that rule was always that it was the goalie, that not that there had to be 2. Anybody can be the last man. I thought that there had to be a defender between you and the goalie. I didn't know it was any player. That blew my mind.
Just 2 players. Yeah, it's always 2 players have to be behind the ball.
Okay.
So that's a crazy call, man.
That's a crazy call because Brazil is anfitrión. They're hosts. And then they can't. It's not that they. I think them tying is worse than them losing, because the frustration that you saw in all of these players' faces, be it Coutinho, be it Firmino, Everton, all of them, they couldn't believe that they couldn't crack this Venezuelan team. Which
they're actually pretty good.
I'm gonna wave my little self pride flag here. That I was saying last week, Venezuela was gonna be. That dark horse team, they're going to show a little bit more because they came into this tournament on good form.
Yeah.
But I don't want to stretch it any longer than that. I think that was kind of crazy for me to see that result.
Now, do you think VAR is kind of taken away from the game?
It is. I'll say that 100% right now.
Dude, they added 7 minutes at the end of the game because of the VAR calls.
On that game?
Yeah.
I think it went past that. I think it went to like 10.
And then they added 2
It
more
did.
minutes.
It
Yes.
did.
They added 7 minutes, and then a ref, the linesman, the third referee, came onto the field, and he put up the board again with the number 2. They added 2 more minutes to the stoppage after they already added 7.
What? How much more are we gonna do? This is my fear of VAR.
Well, I think
the thing was
they're
like,
misusing it now. Like I didn't see that for the Champions League.
When VAR was introduced, like they tested it and tested it and tested it, and they averaged it to a minute 30-second stop.
Yeah.
This Copa America going well beyond that.
I think the Copa America is misusing it.
I think they are.
I don't think it's the misuse of it. I think is my perspective now is that these rules have always been in place. It was just never given an opportunity to be had a second look at. Now with VAR, every single rule to the game, because there's hundreds of rules that we probably don't even know about.
This Premier
also,
League season's gonna be a shit.
It's gonna be a shit show. It's gonna be a shit show because all these rules that have never been looked at are gonna be enforced now. And granted, that's what the rules are for, but it's taken away from the game.
I think one of those places that they misuse or they waste a lot of time is them hearing and being trying to pay attention while everybody's talking, and then they can't have the ref on the field ends up having a conversation with the people outside, and they can agree.
I agree with that.
So if you can agree, just say I'm gonna go see it. Fuck it. But then no, they have to have an argument between each other. Like, oh yes, no, come on, tell me.
I
wasted 2 minutes. Now I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, it's more.
Out of here.
It's more apparent in the Copa America because like we barely saw it in We barely saw it in the Champions League.
We didn't see it in the World Cup.
The World Cup, yeah. I mean, just
it was you.
Right. The only thing I can remember right now is the Ecuadorian goal, which they called off. That's the only time I remember VAR interfering.
But honestly,
MLS is pretty good with it. I think Germany's good with it.
I think it's still new that they were just looking for the regular offside handball stuff, but now with. Like, for example, we're seeing all these calls being made now.
Because I'm telling you, South American soccer is a whole different beast.
But don't you think I'm pretty sure we can probably go back and find a couple of instances where that Firmino goal probably happened in another situation.
100%.
And it's just something that doesn't we don't see it. But the fact that VAR is there now, I was like, all right, we're gonna look at every single movement of every single player of every single play, and then see every single rule. Which box do we check off for breaking which rule?
On the top of my head, I could think of 2 Liverpool goals that happened during the season that were like offsides, but
can't wait.
They weren't way up.
Can't wait for VAR in Liverpool. Can't wait.
We won Champions League with VAR. What up?
But I mean, I don't know, man. This is my fear of
I think they should
VAR.
back up, honestly. Once the ref is reviewing it, back up. Like,
Yeah.
I said before.
What the fuck gonna happen to him? Oh no.
It's a headbutt. It's above his eyebrow.
I thought he got his next level.
You got stabbed. No, it was a headbutt above his eyebrow.
Yeah, I think
everyone should back up. He'll listen to it, and if they're like checking, he'll go check it.
I do think you have a point though. I think the South American game is just a different beast.
It's a different beast.
Everybody always talk about England being physical. I'm like, nah, motherfuckers, go down to South America.
Yeah.
And then you want physicality, go down to South America.
Everything for the ball, man.
Word.
Everything.
Oh man, but
VAR. It's a matter of food or not in South America. So like they're gonna go.
Is VAR gonna ruin Copa America?
I think it is.
I think it's
starting to
started.
ruin it. But it's gonna be this couple.
Well, the thing is that I think VAR and the refs have been horrible. This Copa America. So I think it's a combination of both. Argentina Colombia game.
Yeah, the Argentina Colombia game. That game got out of hand.
That ref let that game.
Colombia Qatar game.
Colombia Qatar got
Maybe just Colombia. I don't know.
That's why.
The common denominator in this equation is Colombia.
Both games had a red. Both games still had a red.
Even Uruguay wasn't this dirty, bro.
Listen. They know they're being watched.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I think this whole VAR, is ruining the game, is making the game better. This whole debate is going to go on until the next change comes.
Yeah, until they get it right. Yeah.
I don't think they get it right. I think it's going to happen until there's another change in the game. Just like goal line technology.
The next
VAR, there's gonna be something else.
The next change is what I'm fearing the most.
And that's what I've always been saying.
I've heard so many fans saying, "I need somebody to come on the field and tell me what the hell's going on."
Oh, fuck
like,
that.
No. And
That's gonna be football.
that's my fear right now. That's the next
Bro,
step.
the day that happens, I
It's gonna
want
be somebody.
I'm gonna be sitting on my high horse, looking down on all you motherfuckers like I fucking told you.
I will make sure that I'm nowhere near you that day.
That's my fear. Like, I'm like, no, we don't need that. We just need to fix the VAR. It was tested time and time again, minute 30 seconds, and that's what we need to go back to.
And it sucks because, like you said, you're using the Copa America, they're using it this way. You use it in
Women's World
Champions
Cup.
League. Women's World Cup is working this way. Using
There's
the World
no
Cup is working this
consistency for
way.
How they're enforcing VAR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it's giving more room for error, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
So whatever, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
We got into the VAR conversation without meaning to.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's gonna get to the point where fucking the only way you're gonna score is score bangers from outside the box.
Facts, and they're gonna count that as 2-pointer. Watch.
Imagine.
So
I mean, NBA is getting a 4-point line.
they're looking at that too, right?